It's a tough game for Leicester.
5 points separate Watford and Leicester, 3 places in the league. Gerard De La Feo during the and Jim Trafford. We'll see you at half time. Enjoy the game.
Zonal. When you are zonal and you have key headers of the ball like Deeney, nobody ends up taking responsibility. He just gets his body across, but in here, it's not much movement. It's a lovely delivery and whip. If you just see Deeney, it's the wrong side of Morgan, doesn't deal with it, and it's a simple flick that Schmeichel can't react. It'll be very interesting to see next season whether VAR might have ruled that one out. It was very close. Troy Deeney with the touch, just 4.5 minutes into the game. His first goal in 10 matches here at Vicarage Road since he scored against Spurs back in September. I mean, it did look very tight, didn't it? You couldn't tell from the naked eye whether it was onside or offside, but Leicester just have to deal with those situations better. Well, if Watford can maintain the 8th spot that they had coming into this weekend, it will be the best they've done since they finished second back in 1983. First FA Cup final since the 80s isn't out of the question either. Certainly got their tails up here. It's been an excellent response to the... One hallmark of Leicester's performances in the latter days under Claude Puel was just how slowly they started games. Damari Gray's goal against Brighton on Tuesday, the first time they've scored in the opening 10 minutes of a league game all season. They've conceded more early goals. This now the 6th time in 2019 already that they found themselves a goal down inside the opening 10 minutes. He's played with Vardy's strengths here as they look to turn the Watford back line. Corey. Deeney can bludgeon his way through again. Pereira will chase. Schmeichel there in the nick of time. Pushed by Ricardo Pereira on Deeney. Free kick to Watford.
Clever play there from Decore. He just waited as Deulofeu ran offside and he held the ball here as he was driving through with it. I think it's Deeney, drives through, he sees Deulofeu offside, plays just overhits that pass. If he takes the weight off it, it gives him a chance to get it.
Olivas. Had to do plenty of chasing in the early stages, Leicester City. It's Hughes. Pereira made a really good run to his left. Olivas. Just a collision between Deeney and Ndidi off the ball was the one that was punished by John Moss. Well, Troy Deeney was far from happy that the referee didn't play the advantage for the free kick, which led to the opening goal of the game.
It's worked out okay for Watford in the end, though.
David Grassi has spoken about Watford's aspirations this season. He says he doesn't know exactly what they're capable of achieving.
I can understand that statement. They're quite a different team to watch. You know, they're set up, their formation. It's a little bit different. It's got an interesting mix of players, and I think it's actually very hard to figure out what they are capable of.
Maguire. Excellent long ball for Ricardo Pereira. Taking Olivas and driving it in for Barnes, who's pulled it back. Foster committed himself. The defenders could bail him out. Tielemans tries his luck. Well blocked by Decore. Helped for by Ndidi. Back in from Madison. It's been a really open start to this game. First real constructive attack that Leicester have been able to mount. Getting the bodies forward quickly with Pereira. In for Vardy. Hughes calms things down in the back for Watford. Morgan ahead of Deulofeu and Chilwell. Back for Morgan again. Clever touch for Barnes. Vardy setting it up. Still Harvey Barnes. Angle became prohibitively tight. It's a brilliant pullback. Just fell between Vardy and Tielemans in the end.
Good play from Harvey Barnes there. He timed his run brilliantly off Vardy. It's a lovely flick, but it's all about the run that makes it happen. And Harry, after in the end, getting a really important toe on the edge of the 6-yard box.
Yama did well, firstly to keep it in and then to have a constructive pass for Deeney. Tielemans looking for Vardy.
It's a real feature of Watford today. Every time the ball turns over in midfield, they're looking to get Deulofeu down the sides. He's spinning out, pulling on either Maguire or Morgan, looking to run in behind.
Foul by Pereira on Capu. Has been a strange week for Watford too. Their biggest win of the season, followed by their biggest defeat. But an excellent start for them today. Plenty of note-taking going on for Brendan Rodgers, whose last match as a Premier League manager was back in October 2015. He was sacked within hours of his Liverpool side failing to win at Everton. Nice coincidence that he returns to a Premier League dugout on the day that the two Mersey rivals reconvene at Goodison. Vardy He couldn't keep his feet. The referee's got some thinking to do here. It's going to be a yellow card for Mariappa. That has to be because of the distance from goal.
It can only be that, otherwise it would be so cynical. And I think it's such a genuine attempt to play the ball. He's just too heavy with his touch here, Mariappa. This is what Vardy's so good at. He sniffs danger better than anyone in the Premier League, and he's just unfortunate he couldn't stay on his feet. He tried his hardest, he just couldn't keep up there on them.
Watford scored from there. First set piece. And Leicester scored from theirs. Clipped in by Maddison. Foster's taken Vardy out, but the free kick has gone Watford's way. But that's a thumping collision between two men who only had eyes for the ball.
I felt that sitting up here in the stand. It was a real heavy collision with Foster and Jamie Vardy. Slight bit of bleeding from Foster's chin there. Looks like got caught on the chin, but both genuinely going for the ball. And it was almost one of them where Vardy, I don't think he saw him coming. I don't think he expected the impact. It's always harder when you're not braced for impact. It can do you more damage. Here we see the replay. Vardy just creeping maybe half a yard early from the offside, but both genuine attempts. You can see Vardy.
But both players are going to need a fair bit of treatment by the look of it.
Vardy's tough as old boots. I'm sure he'll get up and shrug it off, but Foster looks like he's come out worse.
Well, the referee played his part in the goal. This is the free kick that he gave. He played an initial advantage after that foul by Maguire on Hughes. He's played the advantage. Deeney finds his way through inside the penalty area. He stopped play then, pulled it back because he didn't think there was an advantage from the resulting free kick. Deeney vindicates his decision.
I mean, it absolutely works out for Watford in the end, but it's such a strange decision from John Moss to play the advantage, which is the good call. And the moment Deeney slips through the net, he then pulls it back. It was a strange call, but no Watford players are complaining now.
Vardy back on his feet, I'm glad to say. Well, the number 9's already made an impression. Jamie Vardy has scored the first goal under each of Leicester's last 3 permanent managers. Well, his side already need him today. Glad to see that smile has still got as many teeth in it as it had 10 minutes before kickoff.
Even get back running and competing as soon as possible.
Straight back on. Good to see. Here's Maddison. Tielemans, who's really caught the eye in the first few games of his loan spell from Monaco.
You see Pereira and Maddison just struggling to communicate here on this right-hand side. A couple of times Pereira's got the ball and Maddison's going in the line. He wants him to show inside. They've just got to get that communication and understanding of each other a little bit better.
Pushed by Olivas on Maddison. Tali Gracia said he didn't anticipate that Leicester would actually change an awful lot, especially in the short term, although he pointed out that preparing for a game against the new manager does have its obvious potential pitfalls. He said that having seen a lot of Celtic under Rodgers this season, he was quite confident of what to expect today. Pereira's ball in, Chilwell rifling it. It hit Barnes last, now to play for a goal kick.
Nice play from Leicester. Ben Chilwell with a lovely volley cross here. Pereira cuts inside onto his left foot. Chilwell's got the space there. Really controls this cross brilliantly, and I don't think Barnes expects it. It comes through some bodies. Maybe it's Mariappa just in front of him, and I think if he sees it a bit earlier, he can guide that into the net.
The one aspect of Leicester's development that Puel was able to oversee was the overhaul of an ageing but successful squad into one of the youngest in the division. Barnes, one of the players that profited from that after an excellent loan spell at West Brom in the first half of this campaign. He's now broken into the Leicester team, starts a 5th successive game today. It's always difficult for any manager to achieve that development at the same time as keeping results consistent. It's the kind of policy that's bound to put a few noses out of joint as well, but Brendan Rodgers is in a position to benefit from the work that Puel had undertaken in that regard.
I think that's a common theme. I think the manager that brings the young players in isn't always the one that benefits from doing so. It's usually the following manager that reaps the rewards.
Here's Maguire. 3 centre-halves. He's the one that's most likely to stride forward in possession. Chilwell. That's a Watford throw. So you think that the change of shape for Leicester might benefit the two fullbacks, Ricardo Pereira and Ben Chilwell, because they'll be given that little bit more licence to push forward. Both have a reputation of being very good at attacking defensive players.
Definitely, we've already seen that from Chilwell arriving at the back post there in the previous move. Perhaps he wouldn't have been there if he was playing left back in a back four, but it's just, I think the front three getting used to the different spaces and movements. There's different movements and triggers that they'll need to make in order to get on the ball more.
Madison. Tielemans. Barnes making the run. Well, he has a reputation of being a man with a great eye for a pass, Yuri Tielemans. The ability just to be able to have the vision to see good movement ahead of him from the forward three. It does look as though he's a very shrewd acquisition.
He definitely brings a much better balance to that midfield, doesn't he? When you see Mendy and Ndidi together, they're almost too similar. He brings a little bit more creative passing talent.
Deeney making life difficult for Morgan. But he was fouled. Still arguing the toss about it. Here's Madison. He was caught by Capoue.
It's quite a clever foul here from Capoue. He's got away without a booking and stopped a counter-attack from Leicester. I think Watford do that really well. Their two midfielders, they're quite shrewd in making fouls and in good areas of the pitch.
Ducking his head in with the boot of Ndidi raised. Free kick goes Watford's way. Well, a change of the helm, but the same old story with Leicester 1-0 down as they've been so often. Have taken more points from losing positions than any other team in the division. But Matt, this is the 29th game of the season. It's the 20th in which they have gone 1-0 down.
It's unbelievable because, I mean, in previous seasons, Leicester, it was almost the opposite. They were a very fast starting team that would sucker punch teams very early on, and it's almost swung completely the other way, and it's something they're going to have to get themselves out of.
Chilwell. Knocked away by Janman. Hughes. Morgan there ahead of Deeney, and then Maguire in turn ahead of Decore. Capu's guided it over the top here. Deeney onside. Decore just couldn't get the contact.
Brilliant cross from Deeney, wasn't it? Whipped in into that space that players love to attack.
Pressure on Capu. Had time to pick out Pereira. Well-timed challenge by Capu. Getting the ball back off Barnes. Olivas wins the throw from Pereira. Switch of play, time for Janmat to measure his delivery. Johnny Evans with the acrobatic clearance. Roberto Pereira, beg your pardon. Getting the ball past Ricardo Pereira, couldn't find a teammate.
I think he was expecting Decore to carry on his run there. It's what he does so well, Decore, these second balls that he achieves. But here you see the Evans just playing Deeney onside. It looked offside from me, but as you can see clearly, Evans was coming back. And the delivery in there, Evans does well in the end because Decore seems to have the run on him and just gets a foot in and stops Decore getting some contact with the ball.
Here's Decore again. Janmat. Just too much on it.
Just exploiting those wide areas at the moment, aren't they? That's the one thing you get with three centre-backs. If the wing-backs are pushed high, sometimes that space can be created down the sides, and Watford looking to take advantage of that at the moment.
Leicester's win over Brighton on Tuesday was their first in 7 games. It was the perfect response to the collapse against Crystal Palace. As they showed in the defeat to Tottenham in their last away match, though. They certainly have the ability against decent opposition. The game at Wembley could easily have ended in a big Leicester win. Addressing those wild swings of form and extraordinary inconsistencies will have to be one of the first items on Brendan Rodgers' agenda. Just look at the results in 2019 alone. Defeats to Cardiff and Southampton to lead to opposition in Newport County in the Cup. Win against Manchester City. Draw at Anfield. Might have scored 5 away to Tottenham.
Stability was a key word that Brendan Rodgers has used in his press conferences and when he's spoken about what he wants to bring, and you're absolutely right, it needs some stability and some consistency in their results.
Evans doing well. Here's Barnes. Deeney coming back. Olivas. Pereira. Now Capu. Hughes. Morgan had to step up for the defensive line. Tielemans backing his ability under pressure. Maintaining possession. the Watford midfield from one side of the pitch to the other by hoping to switch the direction of play quickly. Maguire.
You just see there the uncertainty of where the front three need to move to receive the ball. It's a little bit clogged.
Antonio Conte here today, alongside Steve Holland. Opportunity to take in a game.
He'll be heading over to Craven Cottage later.
They'll have to go some, I believe now. No shortage of young English talent on show, though. You can understand why Steve Holland's here today. Looking at the likes of Maguire and Chilwell. More pertinently, perhaps Maddison was called up for a full England squad earlier in the season. The next England squad for the matches against Montenegro and the Czech Republic is named a week on Wednesday, so not too many more opportunities to catch the eye. Whether they deem him to be quite at that level yet or not, Harvey Barnes' performance is clearly going to be being assessed as well. Here's Maddison. Give it away to the retreating Deeney. Deulofeu. No back pass by Ndidi. Chilwell. Pereira. An area which there's been a few skirmishes inside the Watford penalty area, but Ben Foster hasn't been overly busy. Chilwell axis down the left flank just hasn't worked as yet for Leicester.
I think that's a key area they need to exploit, but Watford seem to be dropping back in. It's that formation of being very narrow with a 2-2 and a 2, but out of possession they really do cover the full width of the pitch. And with wing backs that Leicester have at the moment, they're not getting much joy in wide areas, and it's a lot of credit to the way Watford are dropping back out of possession and filling those spaces.
Evans climbing above Deeney, but it was Pereira that won the second ball. Now Deulofeu. Shown inside by Ricardo Pereira. Stinging shot that was easy for Schmeichel in the end.
That's what Pereira likes to do. He likes his areas. Deulofeu kind of inside onto his right foot. Quite simple for Schmeichel in the end.
Another effort on target from Watford. They've had the monopoly of those so far, creating more opportunities than the visitors. 3 of those 4 that Watford have created have been on target. Still waiting for their first shot on target of the Brendan Rodgers reign, more than half an hour in.
Seems quite methodical, the build-up, doesn't it? It goes into the back 3, they're passing it across the back. Not quite enough movement or tempo with the ball, and it's making life a bit easier for Watford just to sit back and wait for the right moment to press and win the ball back, which they are doing very well.
Nothing in it in terms of possession at the moment. So Leicester free kick as Deulofeu is flagged offside. performers holding up very well before the trip to Anfield. That was just their second defeat in the last 9 games in the league, and if you include their impressive FA Cup run, it's only 3 losses in the last 16 games now. And Didi. Pereira. Back to him from an excellent pass from Tielemans. Just a good ball in as well. Vardy acknowledges that. And Watford forced to concede the corner through Mariappa.
Well, this is why Tielemans is in the team for these type of passes. It's a lovely weighted ball. Pereira with the cross. Mariappa picks up a good position, but Vardy opted to peel for the back post. Nice to see him try and get across the near post there.
Leicester's first corner. Vardy making a near post run, trying to create some space for Maguire in behind him. The handball shout was vociferous. It was Adrian Mariappa that the ball hit.
I think there's a shout, but I think he's got his back to him, Mariappa. There's nothing there for me that says handball. It might have struck his arm, but it's completely accidental.
Handball law, of course, is going to change for next season. That was ratified yesterday by a meeting of the International FAB up in Aberdeen. Going to take the word deliberate out of the law, and there's going to be lots of talk about natural silhouettes.
It's going to be interesting to see them try and implement that. I think that's a very difficult thing to do.
Well, as I understand it, that would have been a penalty next season, because the ball has hit his arm when the arm is not part of, as I say, what in their words is the natural silhouette. It's outside of his body even though he's jumping. So, as you say, it's going to be very difficult to implement that and convince people that it is correct.
Who's to judge what the natural silhouette is?
Madison pinging the ball in. Mariappa will get it away. Certainly you and I, for instance, will have very different natural silhouettes. I think I would have a little bit more room for manoeuvre than you.
Could be slightly more rotund.
A bit more leeway. Yes, exactly that. Here's Evans. Now Ricardo. Free kick to Leicester. Well, Watford dominant in the early stages, rewarded with the goal very early on, but haven't really been in the position to press home the advantage. And the longer the game has gone, the more Leicester have warmed to their task.
It really has been a slightly slower tempo game than what I was expecting. It started off quite bright, but how Leicester are approaching it, maybe the new style and wanting to be in possession of the ball in the back area of the pitch, it's a much slower game than anticipated.
Barnes. Well, he gets it back after the touch from Capu. And the shot is deflected away for a corner.
He's got the 1-2 back in there by default, Harvey Barnes. I think it was off a Watford player that put it back in his path, but he just needs that spark of a forward player creating something and using that ability to make something happen.
Madison on. Call of duty from both flanks. In swing at this time is an excellent defensive header from Capu. Tielemans met that. In from Madison with real pace and wit. That was Mariappa who's there again.
It was a great ball, wasn't it, from Tielemans? Whether or not he meant this, the ball gets cleared by Capoue. This is a shot for me. It ends up perfectly back with the corner taker, and just watch Mariappa gets a good position in front of Evans, and it's a really important glancing header. There are the moments there with Evans, though. You just want to see him attack the ball a bit better. You know, it's a great defensive clearance, but no Leicester players really getting their body along the line there and getting across the face of the ball.
Gandini, now Maguire. Madison. Pereira, beaten to by Ricardo Pereira. Ben Foster came across, and it's a goal kick. Big responsibility, though, on the nominally the wider midfielders, Will Hughes, Roberto Pereira, to track the runners back. I haven't seen Ricardo Pereira get forward particularly frequently, but Roberto Pereira has a big responsibility on his shoulders to track him when he does.
Definitely out of possession. They're just dropping wide, aren't they? And when they have the ball, they're more inclined to come into these central areas.
Ndidi.
It's a great touch from Chilwell there. Loads of spin on the ball, plucked it out of the sky. Really confident play.
That's the catalyst for a good counter-attack here. Madison squeezing it through for Vardy. Mariappa's header away. And then Chilwell, in an unaccustomed part of the field, just catching Capoue.
It allows him that freedom at wing-back that he can adventure into those areas. Just followed his instincts there and wound up on the right-hand side of the pitch.
Into the final 5 minutes of the first half. Here's Chilwell. Leicester beginning to get their possession in better areas now. Hughes running it back. Yanma trying to get Deulofeu around the back of Maguire. That's really good defending.
There's one player that's difficult to run round, is Harry Maguire, when he gets that big frame in the way. You can see Watford's idea. They're trying to get down the sides of Leicester, but the moment there's this amount of space for Deulofeu, there's only one winner.
Fox is certainly able to string the passes together, but such has been Watford's defensive discipline. They haven't really made any ground in doing so. It's Maguire. Harvey dropping short of getting the ball into feet, finding Chilwell. He's got Madison outside him.
Watford seem to be content, don't they, to let Leicester have it in these areas and not really getting out and pressing them. only really going to work in the final third. Well, Leicester with more passes and a higher proportion of them finding a man, although probably could argue that part of that is because the average pass length will be shorter from Leicester players, the way they play. Watford tend to look slightly longer, slightly earlier. Oliver's back on the cover. Dini holding off Decore. One back by Hughes. And he's won a free kick, which Decore thought about taking quickly. Dini had sprinted forward for him. It's been brilliant out of possession, Hughes, today. I mean, he must have turned the ball back over 4 or 5 times in that wide area. He really has shown some good discipline. I know he's known for being more of a touch and creative player, but he's done a great defensive job for Watford so far.
Madison trying to make life difficult for Janmaat. Well, to stick to his task. Slung by Foster and very effectively too. Here's Roberto Pereira. Dini and Deulofeu both in the area for him. As the game goes into stoppage time, there'll be 2 additional minutes at the end of this first 45. Janmaat. Pereira. Olivas supplying the width to his left.
Slightly disappointed there, Holebas. He had an opportunity to cross this with his left foot here. I thought he should have delivered it there. Once he cuts back, it's very difficult for Dini and Decore and the players in the box to adjust their position and be in a position to go and attack the ball. He needs to cross that with his left foot.
Dini. Sublime touch for Hughes. Good running off the ball from him. And aware of the presence of Pereira. Can he get himself into a shooting position? Leicester, Tielemans in particular, did well. Cathcart using his past experience, judging the situation very ably. A difficult header that as well for Cathcart. It's not easy. You knew, when you've got a player like Jamie Vardy breathing down your neck, you can easily get that wrong. And very calm and composed to loft the ball in the air safely into Foster's arms.
It's been such a good season, hasn't it, for Watford so far? They're playing without the fear of relegation. 3 points today takes them level with 7th. They're halfway there, but what about Brendan Rodgers and his first 45 minutes in charge of Leicester? We've got all that next.